Last weekend, we had the Magic World Championships out in Seattle.
That's right, Jake, and we're going to show you 4 awesome decks that the pros played. Greetings, goblins and geist.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Blake.
And welcome to
The
the
Cloudpost,
Cloudpost, where we have new Magic the Gathering videos every Friday. We do ask that you like the video and please subscribe to the channel so you can see interesting videos like this.
That's right, Jake, and the Cloudpost does not pay for advertising, so please like and share the video with your friends. It really helps grow our community. We thank you.
Without further ado, let's dive into deck techs. And is this the best deck in the world?
Welcome into the deck tech, where you're going to see a lot less of our faces as we show you the decks, and, we have a lot of crazy stuff to show you. So starting this off, we have Is It Lessons by
Sam Pardee, so a classic pro himself. And the question is this the new best deck in the world?
It very well could be. However, we have some stuff to talk about with this one. One of the things I want to point out, since we're talking about so many decks today, we're going to kind of recap each one with like a shorter clip. So starting this one off, Monument to Endurance is not in a lot of the other builds like this, and I think this is the card that put this deck over the edge.
Right. So what's interesting is I watched some of the coverage, and you can see that Derek Davis, for example, was also on Lessons. A lot of people were. This made up half of the top 8, but the Monument to Endurance that Pardee is playing is, again, as Blake pointed out, not in every list, and it really caught me by surprise. So what do we think that the benefit is of trying to potentially win the game with this, or have this as your win con engine over Storm Chaser's talent and more creatures?
So this is just hard to deal with. I mean, the only thing I can think of now that people really run to blow this up in most decks would be a Braid, and that kind of, I feel like, fell out of the sideboard now because people aren't running VV anymore. So this was like an unexpected twist for this brew. I mean, I wouldn't even say brew. This is obviously a very well maintained build at this point, and these crazy learn cards are or lesson cards. Sorry, the learn ones are different. These crazy lesson cards are all over the place now, especially boomerang basics. This one is, I think 30+% of the meta use this card.
Yeah, and we're going to see the next deck that we feature is also one that takes advantage of it. It's sort of akin to the era of Pixie, where we had This Town Ain't Big Enough.
Yep.
And people are resetting their powerful permanents. This is still on Storm Chaser's talent, but this doesn't even run, Pardee's list doesn't even run It'll Quench Ya.
No, it doesn't.
In the main.
I don't think it's really as worried about it as much. It seems that they're just going straight for this game plan of get the Monument on the field and then just, loot out.
Right, which, I mean, but you do have, some of the other staples. You mentioned the Boomerang basics, still on Grand, Storm Chasers, Firebending, and Accumulate Wisdom, a.k.a. Ancestral Recall. So, this is just, I'm just interested to see potentially when we get to test some of these decks, is this, a better option instead of the one that has more creatures?
I mean, I guess the World Cup tells you that it is. However, I think a lot of decks, I was just staring at Firebending Lesson thinking oh, is this card even good against decks that don't really run a lot of creatures? Bam, there you go. If you're playing...
Right, if you're in the mirror, for example.
Yeah, if you're in the mirror, this card's so much worse, unless your opponent has played a Storm Chaser's talent, because otherwise, what else do they have, right?
And then does that even matter, because you're just going to basic sit back to your hand?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's... Yeah, this is really cool. Any other notes with it, looking at potentially some of the deep stuff in the sideboard? A lot of the normal offenders here, such as Negate, Spell Pierce, Annul, Towards the Tower. But you do have this kind of pirate card. This is the Aether Drift pirate stuff. But this is just another looting burn spell that can deal with planeswalkers.
Yeah, it's just another removal piece. The deck is already such a core build. Any of the sideboard stuff slots in super easily, and I don't know. I think.
And he's got 3 Quantum Riddlers in here.
Yeah, of course you run Quantum Riddler. It's just such a powerful card, but it's neat because of they get rid of the Monument. They actually, let's say you play against the deck that does run a Braid. Well, this is your other answer then, and then your opponent's probably snap! I didn't expect the opponent to run any creatures because you weren't really running anything but Storm Chaser's talent. So
yeah, it's like a transformative sideboard. Very interesting. This could also hate on opposing artifacts, depending, but I assume you could also put this in, since it's against lands, potentially against Badger Mole Cub decks?
Maybe. It wouldn't... I'd say it's good against the what's the name of the dang freaking land? The cauldron, not the cauldron. No, the black green one. I can't remember.
Oh, the cottage.
Cottage.
Yeah, I mean, you could put it in against cottage for sure,
Yeah,
because that's a
Badger
win
Cup
con.
once the Lancers come back, so it's like, is it
Right.
okay? You draw a card, so I guess that's valuable. Either way, this card's just powerful, and it works really well because it's a lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, this sideboard is like perfectly made for this build. I think you could play this probably months down the line, and you will do well. Like,
Yep. So
just
this
great.
deck looks sweet. Toy around with it. Monument might be the way. And we're going to move on to the next deck.
I will say real quickly, if you do run this lessons build and you like to run creatures, I don't think having Monument in the sideboard as a transformative piece, because we've done it in the past and that's worked really well for us.
Absolutely.
It very well could do the same for you if you want to go creature heavy and then have this as a backup plan. You know, flip it out with Quantum Riddler. I don't know, just a concept. I think it's powerful in the main board. In fact, it's probably more powerful in this deck than any other deck I've seen with it.
Next up, we have a deck that was bolstered by Avatar, but is not new to the format. And this list of Teamer Otters comes to us from Sean Henry, not a player I'm particularly familiar with, but they did very well. And the difference here, Blake, is you still have your Enduring Vitality and your Storm Chaser's talent. This is the other deck we mentioned is just cranking up the numbers of Boomerang basics. Yep. But you're going to stay Teamer, and now you have Badger Mole Cub.
Badger Mole Cub slots so very well in this annoying build. It really is like almost the same build. I will say there's even another one of these in the top 16 or something like that. That is a little bit different. It didn't run Thundertrap Trainer.
Right, yeah, we did see this list. He's on Thundertrap Trainer, and we saw another one where they're not.
I think you like Thundertrap Trainer just because it helps you find your combo pieces. Also, Boomerang Basics hitting Thundertrap Trainer is good. It is good.
Absolutely.
It's so good.
Yeah, like you already replaced itself if you hit with Trainer, and then you reset it, and Boomerang replaces itself, and then you get to play the Trainer again.
Yep.
You know, it's super fun, but you're still a Valley Floodcaller combo nonsense deck for sure.
You certainly are. I mean, it's even easier now with the mana because you have Badger Mole Cub. The only thing that I would say, like, is it could be a little clunky at certain times if you just draw awkwardly. But
I think that's a great point, yeah, for sure.
But if you keep a solid hand, then you just have, like, even just decent beaters. Like, Badger Mole Cub and Storm Chaser's talent are no joke as far as peppering damage in. Like, they will get there.
And Stock Up, we know, is, you know, a staple, very powerful card. And in a card like this where you're trying to assemble a few things on the board at the same time, and then, you know, get your mana and go nuts with your rats, this is perfect as well.
Yeah, I Stock Up is like the inevitable going to find your combo piece card. Like, it's nice to have Thundertrap Trainer, but this is the number one, right? Like, Stock Up is probably the best draw spell, or quote unquote draw spell in Standard. Thundertrap Trainer with it, I think, is just perfect though, because that allows you to find what you want. You know.
Now,
how do you feel about Ral?
So that was an interesting thing that I didn't know if we were going to get into, but this can very easily, when you're just popping off with your spells, I mean, you could probably reasonably get to the emblem.
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue so far. I mean, I guess if you have the mana, you're right. If you actually have Enduring Vitality out or Badger Mole Cub, you have enough mana to be able to cast a ton of spells, and then you just, you know, get a loyalty counter every time you cast one. This thing gets to 10 super quickly, and you just kind of go crazy.
And regardless, putting more otters in play and things in play that are eventually going to, you know, get huge with Valley Floodcaller, I think is valuable on its own. But I just don't remember if the old lists used to even run this.
I want to think they sideboarded it, and I could be wrong. I wouldn't even saying draw 3 cards, discard 2 is helping you find your combo, so it also keeps your opponent from attacking you directly because they need to deal with this guy. So he acts as like some pseudo life, but yeah, I think it works well on the build. What's the sideboard look like?
I was about to say, I mean, the game plan for, you know, game 1 of a match is pretty straightforward, so I was interested to see what the sideboard options are. It seems like you've got a good mix here. You've got some graveyard interaction, some sweepers, paw patch formation for pesky enchantments to kill the opposing Bale Mercs and such.
Yeah, kill the Quantum Riddler.
Yeah, and then they are running a Torpor Orb.
Yeah, you got to.
I would think that the interesting card that stands out to me is whatever this Frostcliff Siege is.
Funny enough, I was actually playing Standard recently, and I've played against somebody who sideboarded this against me, and I was like, why would you do that? And then I looked at the bottom, I was like, oh, Trample and Haste is crazy. It
Right.
wasn't an otter build, but it was just a good sideboard card because of the Trample and Haste, and I was almost beaten by it. It was very cool. I was like thrown off, you know?
Yeah, well, that does make sense to me if you are against some other strategy where, like, if you pump everything up with Valley Flood Caller and then they can just chump you and you essentially burn through all of your gas so that you had this big attack. Maybe that's a thing.
I mean, it gives you Trample and Haste, which this deck already wants. And in addition to that, if you already have like the Song of Totentaz in your hand, and you just need to draw more cards to get the combo. Well, here you go. Jeskai ability is just going to draw you cards when you hit with a Badgermole Cub or a land or an Otter. Like, you're going
Right.
to get there with it. You're going to draw a bunch of cards. It's good. It's a good sideboard card.
Yeah, this seems like a balanced sideboard. I mean, interesting. I normally very much like spreading out different types of counter spells like this.
Oh, yeah.
So it's very interesting. You have like, stroke, negate, and annul. And what's interesting is a lot of them, depending on the opposing deck style, they could all come in the same matchup.
Yeah.
But there you have it. I mean, this is the highest placed, I believe, Otters list, and this made the top 8.
Let's check out another one. All right, the third deck we have here for you is a Bant Airbending deck by Guillermo Similovic. Hopefully I pronounced the name correctly. I think that is right. But this deck is awesome. I also hate playing against it in the ladder.
Oh, yeah.
God, it's so frustrating when people actually get the combo, but it is amazing. It's such a cool, fresh, like breath of air for a combo deck. In standard, like I don't even know what to tell you. It's cool. It's cool, and I love seeing Aang. Maybe because I'm bald.
Well, this deck in particular too, I do think that even in the starting 60 cards, there, from what we have seen from results, there's a lot of different ways that you can build this.
Yes.
This one is actually running more green cards than a lot of versions that I saw because this is on Bramble Familiar.
Yeah, so the ones I played against on Arena were also on Bramble Familiar. Maybe it was him Guillermo himself.
Yeah.
I will say that this card helps you dig for the combo, which again, like we see combo decks popping off in Standard right now with the Otters, and now this, like, there's, believe it or not, there's more than this.
Yeah.
They just didn't make it into like the top 32. However, the Golgari deck also has an infinite combo. This basically has one. The airbending, people did predict that this would be the best bending in in Magic.
Yeah.
And I think they were right. I don't know. Seeing this build makes me believe it. Aang at the Crossroads. I mean, what a card. What an absolutely crazy card. It's sad to me, just in a small degree, that like the best version of Aang, like power level wise, should be the 4-mana one.
Or the 4-color one?
Yeah, the 4-color one. This one is better.
Yeah, and I mean, well, when you build around it, like all of the, airbending cards and then Appa, for example, all of these are also, or at least when you think about a Badgermole Cub and Appa deck, this is a very expensive deck in paper.
Oh, I would not even want to consider the price of this thing. It's got to be like a K. However, I will point out that the curve of this deck looks incredibly smooth with Badgermole Cub. Like, oh my god. You get Elf and Gene Pollinator.
Yeah, which Gene Pollinator, of course, best friends with with Badgermole Cub, that is.
Oh yeah. It's they go hand in hand. Like, you honestly would always run them together, and I think in every deck you run that one. I don't know, just the value of that is good. It's really good. It's like a Springleaf Drum.
Yeah, it's like a Springleaf Drum, and it just makes things fast. But this deck, as Blake alluded to, as far as playing MTG Arena, can be very boring to play against because it is a very slow-moving combo.
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces, which means your opponent has to click a billion times to get the things to, pop off. But once they do it, you kind of get the combo. Doc Orlock, I think is his name. Yeah, that just makes your stuff cost less, and that's what airbending costs. So your thing is just free.
He's got his axolotls.
You have so many. I don't even know what those are. Yeah, I guess that's what that is. There's so many airbending cards in the deck. You have Airbender's Ascension, which is just a powerful airbending card. I love the Baby Appa. Going to the right, you have Aang Swift Savior. Really, really good card. We're seeing this even pop up in some modern decks, which is crazy.
Yeah, this card is just a good tempo play regardless of whether you're comboing with it or not.
Yeah, and it's honestly, the Waterbending 8 is not that out of hand. Like, it's very doable.
Yeah, especially in this list.
Yeah, especially in this list. Go up real quick. What else we got? The Aven Interrupter.
Yeah, one of...
I thought that was just a cool tech piece to put in this, just because, making your opponent's stuff cost 2 more to cast, and being able to counter, like, whatever, I mean, I guess tempo them out for a turn.
Yeah.
Is so powerful in this build, man.
I also will mention Nature's Rhythm is all over Standard. If you are playing a green deck, this is, and I'm almost a little confused that we didn't see more of this. in the format prior, and I guess it's just because we were in like VV hell.
Yeah.
But this card is really powerful. I mean, if anybody has played Magic long enough to know how good Green Sun Zenith was,
This is kind of it.
this is kind of it. And the fact that you have, that you can harmonize it back.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
this
similar.
deck is going to have explosive amounts of mana. You can combo really quickly. Interesting note, as you see on the screen here, we took this list straight from MTG Top 8, but there were only 12 listed sideboard cards, so I'm not sure why that is, but this is kind of a peek at that, seeing kind of what you may have to sideboard against. I think the Cavern of Souls is interesting.
I think Cavern of Souls is absolutely fantastic. If you want your combo to pop off and you really need that one turn just to play the one creature you know your opponent's going to have that counterspell in hand, this stops that. You just get there.
And what's interesting is, of course, this Aang, and this Appa are all allies.
So that's easy enough to cast it on that. Yeah, that's probably what you're going to put it on anyways. The only thing that your opponent can really mess up is Nature's Rhythm, so I guess you just keep a more creature-heavy hand. Seam Rips are amazing.
Right.
Even Interrupter we already talked about, and Quantum Riddler, I mean, that doesn't need an introduction. That card is just going to win the game by itself a lot of the time.
And then you have the Airbending Wrath.
Good, yeah.
As an
I was
option.
going to say, this is the coolest piece of the sideboard here. Choosing any of the stuff you want to bounce back is like really nice. It's just cool. This is a really unique Wrath effect.
This is one of the coolest impacted decks in my opinion from Avatar, because not only are you running multiple Aangs, but just Airbending as a mechanic and a Blink deck being at the top tier in the format.
Very true. I would like to shout out Thragtusk from back in the day and Restoration Angel from way back when. If you guys remember Thragtusk and Restoration Angel in a standard, let me know down in the comments, because that was a very fun deck from way back when, and I believe it was also banned. I haven't seen a cool banned deck since
this
then.
exactly. This is like bringing that back. And
you first.
we have, well, I was going to say we have one more very interesting deck to show you guys, but do you have any other passing thoughts about the Airbending deck?
Last passing thought about this deck is the lands are really, really important to actually get played on the right turn, so definitely sequence them correctly, because you need a lot of white mana, and if you don't see it, you're going to miss out on Appa, you're going to miss out on Aven Interrupter, you might even miss out on Quantum Riddler if you don't get it correctly. So
leaning heavy on the starting towns for sure.
Very much so. All right, moving on to the next one.
And we have one more deck that we wanted to highlight, one that you will likely not see a ton of, but that's because Ben Stark does Ben Stark things, and we really wanted to shout this one out. He's such a creative pro, and he has Golgari Dragons. This is just grind you into dust, ramp, have more mana than you, more resources, a ton of modal double-faced cards. What were your first thoughts when you saw this deck, Blake?
It's beautiful. I love Golgari grindy decks. This is one of my favorite kind of builds. I will say I don't necessarily play them all the time on the arena ladder because of how long they take to play, especially in best of 3 games. But man, is this a cool list. I will say it's probably not the most expensive list if we're comparing it to the last brew. I mean, looking at the Airbending list, this is way cheaper. It doesn't run Badgermole Cub.
Yeah.
I love Scavenger Regent.
Yeah, a green deck without Badgermole Cub. Did you think that was possible?
I mean, for this brew, it makes sense just because it's still trying to capitalize on the Tarkir Dragonstorm cards, like Disruptive Brew, Storm Brew, if you go to that one. Yeah, that one's like, little baby dragon, but it's able to kill things is nice. Bloomvine Regent being able to ramp you and gain you a little bit of life back is really good for grinding matchups.
And then probably the best of them all, Scavenger Regent.
I think this card's incredibly good. I love its effect. The fact that it has Ward Discard a Card is awesome. I wish, more cards had that effect.
Yeah, they have to 2-for-1 themselves. It's like the Werewolf that was really popular.
Graveyard Trespasser.
Right.
Technically is also like a Sunset Saboteur, but this one being the most expensive, but also having this crazy modal ability where you can...
Exude Toxin. I mean, it's perfect, man. Just like wipe the board. But this deck is sweet. I mean, so you're gonna run dragons because you want Caustic Exhale.
You do.
And
it's probably
then
the best 1-drop removal spell in all of Standard right now.
Yeah, I mean, it is an instant as well. So it's even, it's got that flexibility even over the Void card.
Yeah, if you're running dragons, this card's probably the best. I mean, Seam Rip's amazing, don't get me wrong. But the fact that this is instant speed, really big difference.
Really big difference. I'm glad somebody was like putting something together with Shared Roots, because when I even saw this spoiled, I was like, man, we straight up have like rampant growth back.
We technically do, yeah.
So this is really cool. Esper Origins, we already know is really powerful. We've played it on the channel before. He's running one Terminus.
He's running one Terminus Return or the Soul Stone, if you will.
The Soul Stone.
It's just another ramp piece, but it also actually, you can use the ability with this because you're going to ramp so much. You're going to be able to harness this and be able to get your dragons back from the graveyard if they have died.
Yeah, I mean, that's sweet. And then, what I didn't see coming necessarily was Ice Till Explorer, but you've got a lot of value in your lands in this deck because he's running Fabled Passages, he's running Cottages, Bossing Say, Soulstone Sanctuary, a lot of cool stuff.
There's a lot of synergy in this list because of the lands. And Ice Till Explorer is just like one of those really well slotted cards for it, being just a 4-mana powerhouse creature. I'm honestly more surprised by Urgent Necropsy.
Yeah.
This card is so weird, and I feel like it's only good in the meta when the meta has all these different pieces of it. But it's never a bad card because it is a removal spell.
Right.
4 mana hurts sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it is at least instant speed, so you can, like, hold your mana up and do other things. But I do agree with you. Are you really getting the maximum value out of it? I'm not sure. I mean, against Otters, maybe it's good because you could blow up, like, a Storm Chaser's talent, a Ral, and a creature.
Yeah.
But it just depends. It seems matchup dependent. But maybe that's something he sided out along the way a lot. And then other cards to mention, I saw this Igra, Eater of All, and I was like, wow, this is in here too. But I guess, this is just a fine, big mid-range play.
It really is just a fine, big mid-range play, and I get that it can just win the game. I mean, it's not really looking for the combo, so it's just a powerful 5-mana deal with this, because how do you sack a food, It's hard to deal with, just like all the other things. Like, everything in this list is just a lot of value.
Right, yeah. In fact, and that's what sticks out to me and makes me think about it being such a Ben Stark deck. The only card that is really one-dimensional is Shared Roots. Everything else is like, it's either removal or 2-for-1s.
Yeah.
Everywhere else.
Even Overlord of the Belmurk's just another powerhouse card that just finds more stuff for you to play. Like, This is such a unique build, and man, is it just super cool. I'm going to say the only thing that, like, I'd be worried about playing this list is, and you do have some of it, so I'm not going to say he doesn't have any, is Graveyard Hate.
Right.
Restless Cottage is very, very slow Graveyard Hate. And
it is.
With all the Lessons decks in the format right now and Accumulate Wisdom being out there, this might struggle a little bit against that. In the first match.
Right, which this didn't top 8, but let's see what he decided to put in the sideboard.
Let's check it out. So, scrolling up, we got Duress, obviously. We got 3 of those in the deck. I think you can't run a black deck without it, honestly.
He's on 3 of the Torpor Orbs.
That makes sense. You got to beat all the crazy Blink decks, and just that good against Quantum Riddler, man. Honestly, this card's wild.
And he's going back to the classic, so you've got as far as the Graveyard Hated choice here. He wanted to do it as a beater, so we've got the Scavenging Ooze.
Yeah, I like Scavenging Ooze. I don't know about it being just 1 green. I don't know if I like this more or if I like the what's the
Keen-eyed?
Right, yeah, the Keen-eyed Curator, the Raccoon. A little bit more. I think the Raccoon could be a little bit better of a beater.
I do think your mana is very good in this deck, though.
You are.
It appears
2
like
mana,
I mean you've got, in fact, because he's not even playing, and you've got 6 forests, but he's not even playing any starting towns or multiversal passages.
No.
So Wastewood Verge starts as green, but yeah, I would have to play matches with it to form an opinion indefinitely. I do think, however, if you're just needing to keep 1 or 2 lessons per turn out of the graveyard, this is probably fine.
I also like the fact that this has its built-in life gain.
It is,
which helps you stabilize in the matchups. That's the one thing where I'm like, man, this card actually might be the reason he has made it so far into the top 32 because the life gain. This deck has a ton of it. There really is hidden throughout the whole thing.
But yeah, because the Bloomvine Regent, like you mentioned,
Esper Origins, and the freaking I always forget the name, Restless Cottage. And
Cottage with food, Igra with food.
It's scattered throughout it. It's not like a main theme of the deck, but it will keep you alive, especially in this type of build. I will say the only thing I was expecting to see in the sideboard because of the Soulstone Sanctuary is demons. Or the Unholy Annex. I think Unholy Annex,
as an option to transform into.
Yeah, I think that would slot well in this build, but maybe it's just good enough as is. And Yigra maybe is just a better beater as a 6/6.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, there's no risk involved because with the demon card, with Unholy Annex, there is the risk of if your opponent's pressuring you and then you don't have a demon, that it can kill you.
Yeah.
And then the other card, of course, which I saw in many other black decks, was Day of Black Sun. I do think this is a sweet card. When you talked about it earlier, like you said, if people are on Sephiroth sacrifice nonsense, this kind of gets that out of the way.
Yeah, it just stops all the nonsense. If there's any like death triggers or like, oh, I can bring it back from the graveyard, like not this time. You know what I mean? It's kind of reminding me of Dress Down.
Yeah, yep. Dress down. That's a good analogy there. So we just wanted to mention this one. This was the only Golgari Dragon deck that was on MTG Top 8 from this from Worlds. So there you have it. We are looking forward to maybe seeing how Standard continues to evolve. I know you're going to see a lot of Ouroboros still. You're going to see a lot of Lessons.
That's right. There are plenty other like honorable mentions to the things that are in Standard. There's another Is It Looting deck out there that was really good. We got Jeskai Control out there. We got the crazy Reanimator list. What's it called?
Superior Reanimator. Yeah, which we've played a version of on the Cloudpost.
Yep, and then
that's still an option.
And then Dimir as well, always going to be in there. A lot of those decks did make it into the 32, but usually it was like one or two of. And there's things you've seen before, so we didn't really want to waste time on that. You know, you can find them out there. But with all these things being said, if you want to find these decks, go to MTG Top 8. They have a ton of these lists for you. I won't have that link for you this time, unfortunately. There's just too many decks to show you. But if they do want to check out some of our cool decks, where do they look, Dick?
They can look on Aether Hub. So Blake has cultivated every deck that we play here on the Cloudpost, the majority of them being decks created by Blake himself. So any of our videos, go back and watch them. Go down to the description of the video, take that link over to Aether Hub, download the deck, and have it on your very own arena.
And with that being said, we will catch you next Friday.